RideTech's bolt-in 4-link system for the rear suspension on our Camaro here. So I hadn't done one of these, so I spent quite a bit of time online researching how to put one in, particularly on the RideTech. And I'm going to save the next guy a whole lot of aggravation. Most of the time I wasted was probably spent on my own doing research on set and ride height and pinion angle and all these various things. That was really unnecessary. In the middle of this, I made a quick call to RideTech, and in about 2 minutes the guy told me what I needed to know, most of which I'd already figured out by then. But I think you got a little bit of a case of their instructions are written by an engineer versus the guy that actually does the install. So this is a really good quality product. I mean, the stuff's well made. There are some issues, so I'm telling you this up front, and then if you want to watch the rest of this dribble, you can weed your way through where I illustrate some of the issues that I'm going to talk about and how you can maybe avoid them. So the big issue, one big issue with this is the cradle, which is the largest piece of the component for this 4-link. And if you're looking into doing one of these, you're going to know what I'm talking about. It's the big piece that bolts in to the body of the car, and the whole 4-link, your whole rear suspension is going to articulate off that. So it needs to be put in there. I mean, it's got to be put in there correctly, or the back end of the car may come loose. So they've made it where you can bolt this in, and it does. The issue is that the cradle doesn't quite fit the car. And if you read online carefully, it says no major modifications to your floor pan. Read as you're going to have to modify your floor pan. The upper tubes on that interfere in a couple of places, and I illustrate that later in the video. You can take a look at that if you're interested. And the angles on both the front and rear mounts are not really quite right. They need to be bent further down. And this is 1/4-inch plate, so you don't just move it. So which means you move the floor pan, which means you beat up your floors a little bit and then have to go back and clean them up. So it took me about 2 hours to fit the cradle in to the floors, make floors fit the cradle. Okay, fine. Seems to me like maybe they could adjust that, but it's still a good product. The next issue is about 6 months ago, evidently, according to RideTech, they switched from the self-tapping screws, which are in what's online on installing one of these on everything, to using riv nuts. So I illustrate the problem with this. With the self-tappers, you put the cradle up in place. Once you get it fit, you drill your holes, you run your bolts in, you're done. With the riv nuts, you've got to put the cradle in place, drill the holes for the riv nuts, drop the cradle back down, install the riv nuts, put the cradle back up, and then put the bolts into your riv nuts. Now, if you don't know what a riv nut is, it's illustrated in the video, so you can watch the whole thing. The problem with that is that the cradle doesn't fully seat up into the frame until it's pulled down by the hardware. So if you mark and try to drill all those holes at the same time, none of your holes in your cradle are going to line up with where you put your riv nuts, and you're going to be totally screwed. Now, I saw that coming, so I did all the vertical riv nut holes, then mounted the whole cradle up in place, then I marked all the horizontal holes, then I drilled those, dropped the cradle back out of place. So I had the cradle in and out probably 6 times by the time I got done fighting all the various things don't quite line up, because every time you put it in and out, no matter how careful you are, the next time when you got that many holes, something's not going to want to line up. And I ended up having to oversize a couple little holes in the cradle to get everything to fit, no matter how careful I was, and I saw the problems coming. So if you don't see those coming, you're going to have a real mess, and you're going to end up having to get somebody over to weld the cradle up in place, because you're going to have a frame full of riv nuts that don't line up with anything. So there's an issue there. If it was me and I had to do this over again, I'd leave the riv nuts in the bag. I'd go out and buy self-tappers that are the correct size, and I'd run them in. RideTech's been running this suspension system for 18 years. So they switched to the rib nuts, which is a stronger product, no doubt. It's also overkill. They got that on back probably with people having concern that the self-tappers were not strong enough. They're plenty strong. That's just my opinion. So those are some of the issues. Now, the next thing is there's all this stuff about measuring to make sure the axle's in the center of the wheel well, and setting ride height and setting pinion angle and all this. And you know what? In their instructions, they give you some dimensions. They tell you that the top bar, which is what this is, should be about 10.15 inches center to the center. And it's adjustable, but they send it to you sent at 10.15 inches. So take that, and then they send you this nice little jig you can assemble, and put the jig together. You're going to use that to weld on your tabs. So what I'm saying is that there's suggestions for dimensions in their instructions. If you actually talk to them, they're like, set everything at that. The bottom bars, which I illustrate later for this, are fixed. They're non-adjustable, meaning that you can measure for where you want your rear end to go all day long, but it's going where those bottom bars put it. So install the bracketry, install the bottom bars onto the axle, get all that bolted up into place, and then and they're hanging there. I'll show you in a minute. They want the shock-to-shock center mounts to be 14.5 inches. Now, it sounds like a suggestion, but what it comes down to, if you don't use that, then they're going to say, well, the suspension isn't going to operate the way we designed it to. That's what's going to happen if you start trying to change these numbers with all the measuring that they've got going on with plumb bobs and angles and all this. It's great. You don't really have to do all that. The bottom link is a fixed point. It's a fixed distance. The top link, 10.15 inches. Set your jig up, set it up at 10.15 inches. Now you've got two fixed points. Well, the third fixed point is the 14.5 inches center to center on the shock. So I made out of wood, I just drilled 2 holes and used the 14.5 inch center to center on a piece of wood. You can use steel, whatever you want. Now you've got another fixed point. When you start fixing all these points on where the suspension's going to go, it takes all the measuring out of it. They've got plumb bobs hanging off the edge of the quarter panels. Well, hell, the quarter panels may have been replaced. They may or may not be exactly in the right place. They may or may not be in exactly the right place from the factory. If I was going to measure off something, which I did, I used the unibody, because that should be right. But either way, you can do all that measuring. It doesn't change anything when you start fixing all these points. The only thing you really have to do is set the pinion angle. So get yourself a digital angle finder, because they want it 3 degrees is what you really need. So there's all this online, you know, measuring all this. It needs to be at 3 degrees. So once you have all those points fixed, just put a jack under the center section of your rear end and jack it up until it reads, in my case, 87 degrees due to the angle. That's 3 degrees up. And you're all set. And your ride height is what it is. There is some adjustment with the shocks for ride height and all that. You can come back and tweak it, but really this is how to set the suspension up in a whole lot less aggravation than what it seemed like there was going to be involved. So, but I couldn't find anybody to just say this. So that's it. Those are the problems you're going to run into. The other thing is, of course, getting the old rear end out. I illustrate the problems you're going to have with that. I've had several of these out. Every one of them breaks the hardware and the hardware is captured up inside the floor pan. So you're going to have to either cut a flap to open that access to the back of that bolt once it spins, that nut, or you're going to have to drill a hole so you can access it and then put a plug in it. One way or the other, you're going to have to be able to access it. The only way you're getting around that is if you cut the bolt heads off after they spin, after they break that captured nut free on the inside, you can't access. And you can cut the head off, and if it'll pop out of the way by driving it up with something, then you can put the new clip in, the new nut in, and you'll be all right. But Those are things you're going to run into. The back bolts for the leaf springs are likely to be bound up and frozen. You're probably going to have to cut them loose. So you're going to have a couple hours at least in getting the old rear end out. So, and at the end of the day, if you can't weld, don't even think about trying this, because you've got to weld those tabs on, which is the other mystery thing. Where do the tabs for the upper mount go? Well, that goes back to what I said. If you fix your bottom points, your bottom suspension bars, you fix your 14.5 inches on your shocks, you set your pinion angle at 3 degrees, and you set the upper bar to what they send it to you at, 10.15 inches. You put a bolt in the upper mount, you have your 2 tabs hanging there, which I'll show pictures of. You drop it down onto the axle, and that's where they go. It's really not a mystery. So I hope that helps the next guy if anybody watches this, but it seems more confusing than what it really was, because I couldn't find anybody to just lay it out the way I just did. So you're interested in watching, if you're going to try this, you don't need to see me drilling holes in the frame. You know, you're going to be drilling holes up through the chassis. There's plenty of videos out there on that, using the Cradle as a guide. But what I just told you is what you really need to know.